Back to follow-up segment tonight. Last night, Charles Krauthammer and I had a discussion about the Benghazi report released yesterday by the House committee investigating the assassination of American Ambassador Christopher Stevens in Libya. Because of the Istanbul terror attack, that report was not shown on FNC. But here it is. Hillary Clinton and the Benghazi report. That is the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. First off, the terror attack that killed 4 Americans in Benghazi, Libya on September 11, 2012 was an act of war. An act of war. Yet the Obama administration does not see it that way. Only one person currently under arrest for the action. From the beginning, the attack was marginalized, first described as a spontaneous uprising against Americans, then spun as partisan politics. Talking Points would like to lay out the truth tonight. The Republican Congressional Report has concluded the following: that almost immediately after American Ambassador Christopher Stevens came under attack, State Department officials in Washington knew exactly what was happening. Greg Hicks, a State Department official in Libya, was talking to D.C. and says there was no discussion about any video prompting the terror attack. It was quickly apparent that the terrorists were organized, and those Libyans hired to protect Ambassador Stevens had run away. Then, hours after Mr. Stevens was murdered, there was a big meeting in the White House. But approximately half that meeting was spent on politics, not trying to get American assets into Libya to protect the remaining Americans there. Defense Secretary Leon Panetta says he ordered the military to go to Libya, but that did not happen. Panetta says President Obama and Secretary Clinton agreed with his order. It is unclear why the military did not carry out Panetta's mandate, and President Obama did not order an investigation to find out. But here's the worst part. Even though President Obama did not himself say videos caused the terror attack, his ambassador to the UN did say that.
What happened this week in Cairo, in Benghazi, and many other parts of the region
Tunisia, Khartoum,
was a result, a direct result of a heinous and offensive video.
And the ambassador's right statement was never corrected by the White House. Summing up, the Republican report says the federal government failed to protect Ambassador Stevens and the 3 other Americans who were murdered, and that the Obama administration misled the world after the fact. Now, to the Democratic side of the House committee. Their report is strange, to say the least. Congressman Elijah Cummings, about as partisan a man as there is in the House of Representatives, led the Democratic response. It says the following: the Democrats on the committee still do not know what motivated the terror attack. They still will not concede the video thing was a ruse, that the Obama administration did not make intentionally misleading statements, even though Ambassador Rice obviously did put forth the phony ruse about video. Maybe she was misled by her superiors. But again, the White House did not order an investigation to find out why Ms. Rice said what she said. And the committee Democrats did not seem to have a problem not knowing exactly what happened. Finally, that even though the State Department security measures were, in their words, quote, woefully inadequate, Secretary Clinton had nothing to do with it. Wow, quite the conclusion. Talking Points is not blaming Hillary Clinton for Benghazi, but certainly any fair-minded person knows the Obama administration has consistently downplayed terror attacks. Fort Hood, Orlando, Benghazi. Explanations: workplace violence, gun-driven domestic terrorism, and videos. Come on. The question going forward: will this hurt Hillary Clinton in her run for the presidency? The answer is speculative, but the facts say this: those who support Mrs. Clinton are not going to turn against her over Benghazi. Those who despise the secretary already believe she mismanaged Libya. In the middle, aimless Americans who kind of wander around not really knowing anything. Are they likely to pay attention to the Benghazi report? No, they are not. So, will the Benghazi situation hurt Hillary Clinton? Most likely not. And that's a memo. Now for the top story reaction, joining us from Washington, Charles Krauthammer. And you say?
I say it's rather unfortunate that we're seeing everything through the prism of hurting or helping Hillary Clinton. In other words, presidential prospects. This is an event that is very unusual. first killing of an ambassador since 1979. This is a national issue. It's not a partisan issue. The report that Trey Gowdy has put out only peripherally talks about Hillary Clinton. Everybody wants to talk about her role. She isn't one of the roles, but the real story is here. The failure of the chain of command, starting with the president, going to Secretary Panetta, and going down to the Joint Chiefs. The president had a meeting with Panetta and the Joint Chief of Staff commander at about 5, 6 o'clock. By 7 o'clock, they ordered, apparently Panetta said, this is Eastern time, ordered everything be done to help them. Nothing was done until it was all over. But here's the worst part. What Cummings and other Democrats will say, it wouldn't have made any difference anyway. That is completely irrelevant. The reason is, yes, in hindsight, we know they wouldn't have gotten there in time. But at the time,
they didn't know that.
Nobody knew when it was going to end.
And there hasn't been
gone
any
10 hours.
There hasn't been
10 hours, 20 hours.
Right.
How can you not send help when the ambassador was missing?
But it's even bigger than that. How can the military not obey a direct order from the Secretary of Defense, which he says was backed up by the President and Secretary of State Clinton? How can the military not obey that order? That should be the big investigation. Who defied it?
I agree with you. The other is, where was the president during those 6 hours? He's in the Situation Room, nicely on camera during the bin Laden raid, which is essentially out of his hands the minute he launched it. But yet here, in a situation that is changing, fluctuating, requires presidential or at least secretarial instructions, nowhere to be seen. That's the scandal, and that's what we don't know.
Final question. Do you believe that Benghazi will hurt Hillary Clinton in any way?
It's already hurt Hillary Clinton, adding to the general perception of her as untrustworthy, somebody who was not in command at the time and who essentially lies to cover up what she has to do, or prevaricates. Doesn't have to be an outright lie. I don't think it's going to add much to that. It cements that. So I think you were right. Those who have a preconception about her, that that's who she is, this will be reinforced. Otherwise not. But I think the effect of this report will be marginal on her, but it should have a major effect on how we view Obama's conducting military affairs in real time, and the failures here up and down the line, which are quite astonishing.